Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. We're going to get into a question that came out in yesterday's reading and that has come out from several of you over, over the entire time, but I got the question again a couple times in the last few days. The question is, what does my soulmate want from all this? We've seen a lot of changes. So last week, there was a pretty steady stream of soulmates running away, and then this week, all of a sudden, there was this stream of them coming back, and it just kind of seems like, with the advent of that Venus retrograde, things really started to get changing and really started moving around. Now, in the thank you video yesterday, that's where the question kind of bubbled up for me, but there was also a sense that we were reading it as it was changing. So it was a really intense sort of energy that, there was a lot of weighing back and forth, a lot of thinking about the ifs and, just all kinds of interesting things going on yesterday. And one of the questions that did come out was, what does my soulmate want from all this? What is their goal? What would they like to have happen? So that's what we're going to look at today. It's going to be a general reading as always. So, if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not going to resonate with everybody, but so I would say if it does resonate with you, just be aware all of these readings are very much connected. It is possible that you may want to, check out some of the other messages, maybe even subscribe to the channel if it seems like it's the right collective for you. So we'll go ahead and get started with the energetic and emotional backdrop. We're asking an emotional question here as well, so I feel like hopefully we'll get some of the good emotion out of that. We did get some emotion out of yesterday. It was like ask and you shall receive, but it was not necessarily simple or easy to hear answers necessarily. A lot going on. So we have the world in reverse. This is something that isn't finished. It's a cycle that isn't finished. It is something that still has time left on it. There is still something that has to be done in this situation. There's that feeling of something hanging over your head, things that aren't done. So I've noticed that, one of the toughest things to handle sometimes when people are getting into a meditation is just the realization of all the things that they have to do. And this is that feeling, that realization of all the things that you have to do. It's that feeling of things hanging over your head. So this may be mutual. Definitely it's heavy for them. We've got the High Priestess in reverse. So there's that lack of a connection with the intuition. And then with the Father of Fire, there's a lot of attempt to kind of control the world around you or them, depending on whether this is, it feels very much like shared energy. And sometimes it's really clear to me which one of you it is. And I'll be saying, hey, this is definitely your energy, or this is definitely your person's energy. In this case, it's mixed enough that it's difficult for me to tell, but there's that feeling of something hanging over your head, trying to control things, not really connected with that intuition, and so needing a better connection. I don't want to say not connected. There's a decision to make. This is something that's been coming up for both of you, and that decision, we make decisions every day, but this is a bigger one. It's also one that is a little bit more transformative. So it's one of those places where you're coming to a crossroads, and I feel like this is also something that could be said of your person, but the energy of it coming out today tells me that it feels imminent. It feels like that's part of the pressure of what's hanging over your head. Feeling like coming to a crossroads where sometimes we talk about it being you can take either path and one is just a longer path to get to the same place. This is a path that diverges and wouldn't put you in the same place. With this Eight of Water, this is really kind of, I think, relaxing into the search, the quest a little bit. So that quest for what it is that you truly want, this is going on a search. it could be construed as walking away, but it sounds like, or it feels like walking away from something that no longer works for you or no longer works for them. Again, it feels pretty much like shared energy, but it could be 60-40. Maybe it's more one of you than the other one, but it feels like it's shared. And then we've got the one of water. So what I'm seeing here is we had a lot of emotion that has come out over the last few days. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's feeling a little bit overwhelming to your person to where they just need to, it's like it's swollen shut and it needs a chance to kind of open back up again. That's really what it feels like when your eye swells shut and you're unable to see through it, you have to kind of let it heal a little bit and just let that subside a little bit before you're able to see through it again. And it's that kind of feeling. So not so much like you're blind, just you can't see through it because it's swollen shut. Well, in this case, it's not a lack of an ability to use emotion, just it's unable to get through right now, but it's temporary. That could be one or both of you feel like it's definitely them, but I also feel like there's a raw edge to your emotions right now as well. And this is whether you're in touch with your person or not, because I know that there have been a lot of you that have reached out and said, hey, my person has contacted me. But that's not going to be true for everybody. And so for some of you, all of this energetic movement is happening in the background and you're feeling it. They're feeling it. That's part of what's caused that to swell shut. It's what's made it feel a little bit raw and, painful. Things just need a chance to calm down energetically, and that's whether you're in 3D communication or not. There's a lack of balance that's really starting to feel like it's making itself known, and a tendency to be able to run and hide. So we saw that for a while there, and for a couple days, your person would flip on those defense mechanisms and they weren't really working. It seems like this is more of a measured effort to go hide rather than just a panic. But there's also maybe a little bit more of I just need to go off and be calm for a little bit. It's got a little bit of that feeling to it, and I feel like that's more them than you, but I feel like it would benefit you as well to have a little bit of a cool down. You'll do your best healing when you're in your toughest areas, but it's not something that you want to stay in for very long. Okay, I shuffled away that mother of fire thinking that maybe it wasn't meant for this part of the reading and that it would come back. If it was, it has come back. So if you were looking, it was the next card and I wasn't convinced it was part of the reading. So I turned it over and I have this wonderful trust with the universe that when I completely can say, I'm going to put this back now. I mean, no disrespect. I'm not sure that I'm interpreting this as being part of the reading. And it just comes out and it doesn't feel like a slap on the hand. It's just like, nope, I want this here. And I just want to, make that nod to the universe because it just feels like a wonderful co-creation of a message. And I just feel like the mouthpiece for that message. And it's wonderful to be able to put myself in that position. So with the mother of fire, you definitely have, this is a little bit of a challenge for the one of water. With the one of water in the reverse, this is that, remember I told you it was like an eye swelling shut and not being able to see through it, and needing it to calm down. Well, this is the passion that kind of keeps pushing up against it and creating pressure. So it's harder for that swelling to go down. And, yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting out of that. So there's a little bit of a pressure to today. It's not somebody doing something inappropriate or wrong. It's really more just there's a lot of intensity in the energy. Um, let's see. Let's see now. I guess now that we've got the energy, because I feel like I'm supposed to stop pulling cards here. Let's start asking the question about what they really want from all this because, one of the reasons we don't look into what's in the future and ask the question of what's in the future is because it's really not possible to do that. The people have free will, which gives you the opportunity to make decisions that are going to shift what happens. So we can tell you which direction, I can feel which direction the energy is kind of moving, But that's why also it works for a collective, because for the collective, the energy is generally moving in a direction, but each person's free will is going to play out a little bit differently. So when we ask what your soulmate wants from all this and what they would want to have happen, it's almost like getting a peek in on that free will, but it's more like getting a peek in on their emotions around the situation, or at least that's how it feels for me when I ask the question. So I kind of like to say that to put the feeling of it out there for you. I feel like the universe has a good idea of how I feel about that, or the type of question that I'm asking, but it's also, I feel like it's something that I want to share with the audience so that you understand where I'm coming from when I go to start interpreting it. We're also going to take into account the current emotional and energetic backdrop, which we saw over here. It's kind of a quiet time, a little bit of a kind of a rainy day sort of vibe, not in a bad way, just rainy day, and you're, able to just stay inside, work in there, curl up and read a book, whatever that is. It's a little bit of healing, hanging out, watching a movie with a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever it is that you like to, yeah, healing. They want healing. This is what this day is. So it feels like, to a certain degree, it feels like a pleasant sort of positive thing. There's also this Queen of Swords, though. I'm going to go ahead and leave that out because I feel like that's part of what they want as well, but I want to explain what it means. So the Queen of Swords is a transformative energy, but it has a tendency to cut things out quite abruptly. With it being in reverse like this, it's really just not making any rash decisions. However, what it feels like to me here is not so much that your person wants to not make rash decisions. They want to not feel pushed inside to make rapid or rash decisions. So they want to feel like they own their own future. They want to feel like they can make decisions at their own pace. They want to feel healed. And they want to feel a lot of balance. There's a lot of balance in this, even though there's not specifically a card that says that. A lot of desire for balance in this energy here. And this rainy day energy really kind of helps to bring out what it is they truly want. It's, they want to be able to let down their guard. So with the Seven of Fire, they have the Seven of Fire in reverse talks about not feeling as much confidence as you would want. But in this context and the way that it feels, it's really more about not needing to always be the provider, not needing to always be wanting someone to have their back. It's that. It's not necessarily not wanting to be the provider. I don't mean it that way so much as wanting somebody to have that assist, having somebody to want to have their back. And here it's more of the same thing. I don't want to have to be the backbone for everything. There's something about what they've experienced somewhere in here, either in their current experience in the 3D, and this is going to be associated with that third party. It's either going to be about work where they feel like they're being put upon and there's not necessarily anyone who's got their back. Maybe they're a great manager, but their manager isn't a great manager, or, just putting that out there. It's a possibility, not necessarily a specific. But there's this feeling like they don't always want to have to run point. They want to not have to decide what's for dinner every day. It's that kind of thing. And so and that one's really significant, but I'm going to go ahead and just say there's a lot of a desire to not have to be that. And with you, they feel like there's more of a partnership and more of an ability to have that. They want that comfort. They want to be able to feel comfort in their situation. Okay, let's see what else comes out. We know they want balance. All of it makes sense. But what it feels like is they don't want to have to be in control. That's what they want. They don't want to have to be in control. There's this here. Oh my goodness. They want to be able to go with the flow. They want to be able to be inconsistent. They want to not have to have responsibility. So that's maybe not something that makes everyone happy, but we're just going to be honest here. This is what they're asking for, or that what they say they want. We ask in this reading what your soulmate wants from all this, and they want to be able to just let go, not have to make rash decisions. And so this I see as a little bit of Little bit of a flag. I don't know what color this flag is. It's definitely yellow, trending toward orange, possibly red. You may know if you're dealing with somebody who has a tendency to put it all on you and not do their side, not do their share of things, which that is definitely the case for some of these situations. But this is a desire to not have to be consistent, and it's something that they would probably never admit to themselves. So I don't want to say like they would come to you and say, "Yeah, could I just show up?" When I want to and just leave whenever I want. That's basically what they want, but they're not wanting to put that out there. Not wanting to have to make rash decisions, wanting to feel healed, wanting to feel whole, wanting to feel balanced, wanting to be able to just go with the flow, not having to do anything. That's not having to do anything. Interesting. So they just want to be able to float there. That's not it's not a super balanced thing, but again, we ask what they want. And what I get here is they want to feel like a babe in arms. That is what it feels like. If I had to put it into words. They want to be able to feel like what they need will be given to them, what they want will be given to them. Um, Interesting. Interesting. So this is really, really wanting something that you are unlikely to give them, um, if you're going to have that self-worth intact. However, I think the catch for them is that when they heal, this what they want, what they think they want, is likely to change, because partially it is their it's what's happened with them. One of the reasons they want to be this is because they didn't have the opportunity to really feel this way when they were a baby. They didn't get a chance to feel that comfort that they're kind of seeking from you, when they were a baby. And that's why you see things like the Six of Earth in the reverse. That's like giving without receiving, or receiving without giving. And to feel like they're getting away with it. And there are certain things that they don't even know, and they're not concerned about knowing. Like they just want to be able to relax in your arms and not have to worry about a single thing. But the problem is, this is not the sense of wanting to give back. This is really kind of, it sounds like wanting to have things your way or the highway is the manifestation. That's the way it comes out. It comes out as, them seeming controlling. It comes out as those narcissistic tendencies. But what's really underneath it is, I was never really comfortable as a baby. I didn't feel like, and it could be, later than babyhood. It could be toddlerhood, but it's the feeling of not having had what they needed at a time that they needed it when they were developing, and now they're trying to get it from somewhere else. That is really what's beneath this. But the issue is this: it's this Six of Earth where they aren't healing. So it's the Four of Swords that says that they want to be healed, but if they get healed, they're not going to have this set of desires anymore. It'll get a lot more balance. They're saying they want balance, but they should be careful what they ask for, because balance would shift all of this. It would mean that they would do the inner child work that they haven't yet done, to get in there and really give themselves that sort of support that they needed back when they didn't have the provider giving them whatever it was. And it depends on what, everybody's going to have a different story. It's not so much like necessarily this person was abused or neglected. It's perceived neglect. So if they got left in a room, and I've said this before, but if they got left in a room for like 10 minutes, and as an adult they would look at that and say, big deal, you walked away for 10 minutes, that child is fine. But as the child, they might not have had the perspective to see that. They might not have had the perspective to really understand what that is, and they may have suffered an abandonment issue or injury. And if that sort of thing happened repeatedly, let's say that their parents worked really hard and were very busy, had other siblings to deal with, and they experienced multiple abandonment issues, and then maybe their parents got divorced or something like that. There's a lot of places where this could really just become difficult. They could have been perfectly healthy, everybody giving the best they could, and still end up with this sort of situation. So So I don't mean to demonize your person by any stretch. Also, look for all of this in yourself, because if you remember from the overlapping lessons, that's the sort of thing that that's the kind of place where your lessons overlapped, but their manifestation of it has them not giving you that equal energy, not getting up off the couch to do what they should be doing, allowing their fears to prevail so that they do things like ghost out and run away. Um, there's a lot that happens here that all really comes from them not having what they needed as a young child, but they've got to solve that. Otherwise, they come to you asking for something that's unbalanced. So what they really want here is to be safe from this. They want to be, and they want to be safe with you. This is you. Nine of Earth, that's all very much together. That's the breast you lean upon. The Nine of Wind, that's anxiety. They want you to quell that anxiety. And what they discovered when they met you was that you naturally quell that anxiety. So it's a huge compliment. But I'm curious to understand, like, what does this shift into when they start to heal? Let's look at that when we get into the extended. Maybe we'll look a little bit more deeply into this, because I feel like it's saying, okay, stop drawing cards, but I also feel like it's still bursting with information. So let's find out a little bit more in the extended about what it is that your person wants, and also what it's going to look like as they heal. I think for you, let's take a look at what your focus is now, and then in the extended, we may do your bridge question, because that'll look a little bit more like what your focus would be as you become more healed. Clearly, this person wants to heal, which is actually really positive, because that means that they could be heading in a direction that that gets them to that reconciliation they need. Thing is, I don't know if that desire to heal is truly a conscious one. Okay, so let's see here. For you, oh, stay put. Something about staying put. That Hierophant that wanted to show up there was significant as well. It's an honorable mention. You've got some wisdom that's there to help guide you. And so you are recommended to avail yourself of that wisdom wherever possible. May not be where you usually look for it. So if you are not a church-going person, you might not expect to find it when you show up at church with a friend of yours, or if it's you're hanging out on vacation and you're sitting next to another family and you hear that 2-year-old start talking and something comes out that makes you realize something about yourself. Be open to all of that. There's a feeling of staying put, and kind of there's a lot of action that's happening with you lately. Here's that Hierophant again. Definitely be looking for that guidance. And actually, the one that came out here wants to sit off to the side for the reading. So it's an honorable mention, but we're not drawing any more cards out of that deck, or at least not to my knowledge anyway. Sometimes you just never know. I've noticed lately sometimes the readings get a little bit out there and they start to ask multiple different questions and things like that, especially when we get into the extendeds, and that's fine. So I'm assuming I'm not drawing any more with that deck in any way it wants to be there. But we've got 2 Hierophants, and it's really about saying, look for the guidance. It's going to be coming to you from multiple directions. There's a lot of a recommendation, once again, to get in there and do a little bit of meditation. Here's that 9 of Fire in reverse. Allow where you've learned lessons and you have opportunities to test those lessons, even if it's in this line at the grocery store and not you're dating or having some conversation with a potential romantic partner. It's let those guards down where it makes sense to let your guards down. It's gonna open up entire new worlds for you. So first we have the 10 of Fire that fell here in the reverse. The 10 of Fire is all about pain going away. This is the pain of a difficult ending. But it's falling away. It's getting better. I see the healing in this. Focus on that, because this is a great time when you're in this Venus retrograde. It's a great time for you to be able to really focus on healing and focus on making yourself feel better. So this 9 of Fire in reverse, letting go of some of those places where you feel more guarded, is going to be directly associated with letting some of this pain go. You're also setting yourself up for I want to say multiple soulmate interactions. So you've got this person that you've already been very bonded to and very much dealing with. But then you've also got this new person that's coming in that I'm hearing from some of you that you're already coming in contact with this person, and that, as predicted, it is not someone that you necessarily would have expected yourself to become friends with or to become associated with. And it is, again, not necessarily a romantic situation in some cases, but still a person that when you met him, you went, oh, here it is. That's the one. So we've got the Six of Wind. You've got a moment to consider. That's really what that card wants to say. It's like a moment to consider. When things are crazy in this world, your schedule may not calm down, but you've got a moment to consider some very important things. And these are emotional things. So this is convenient that we've got the Father of Water coming up to kind of talk about the nature of what you have to consider in this moment. When the moment appears, give yourself a little bit of a chance to work through some emotions. It's going to be emotionally built, this moment. It'll be something where you realize you need to sit down and smell the roses. You need to sit down and truly feel something. That is the advice, to truly sit down and feel it. See what's coming out of it, but also realize that this is an opportunity to see where those defense mechanisms start popping up, and see what you can do about those. Um, See which ones you're ready to drop and let down. You've got the Ten of Water here. It refers to this new soulmate that's coming in, and it's something about you had this opportunity, you and your person both, that you had been dealing with, had this opportunity when you first met to figure out, like, what do you do when it's a lesson of discernment? What do you do when it seems like something is too good to be true? When it's really fantastic like that, how do you get closer to it and figure out what's going on, figure out what you want to do? You're going to have this opportunity again, and I think you're closer to the answer than you were before by a lot. Then we've got the Eight of Wind, though. This one works against you a little bit, because it is a tendency to overthink, and a tendency to not necessarily believe what comes out when you think. Then we've got the Ten of Wind here. Well, so it's about communication, but also about allowing love into your heart. So this is interesting because the Ten of Wands came out earlier feeling like this. This feels like it feels the same way, but it also has this element of communication and being able, it's like talking to somebody. You talk to somebody, and it could be you're talking to this new person, could be you're talking to the person that you had been getting readings about, or it could be somebody completely different, but it's really beneficial and really cathartic for you. And with that, I think we're not going to pull any more cards in this reading, but we are going to go to the extended. So the link is down below if you want to go to that. Um, this is this is where we're going to look a little bit more into what is happening with your person and their desires, and also what happens when they heal, because it feels like those desires are going to shift. Everything here that is in their wants and desires right now is associated with the things that they still have to heal, and yet they're asking for healing. So it ought to be interesting. But I'll see you either in the extended, or I will see you again in tomorrow's reading.